It is a wonderful day on Let's Discuss from OSBC TV. You're welcome to another edition of the program. Today on the program we shall be dwelling on the just concluded governorship and state assembly elections. How was the electoral process conducted? What characterized the polls? And possible solutions towards having improved electoral system in the country. We're going to look at all this. That will be part of our deliberations on the program. My name is Adewumi and I'm not alone on the program. I have my co-presenter.
Thank you so much, Adewumi. Yes, my name is Oluchi Amuda. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Let's Discuss. And on the program today, we'll be discussing the just concluded election, as Adeyemi rightly put it. And we have a guest in the house who is eminently qualified. He's a stakeholder. He took part in the election. He'll be telling us, sharing his experiences, how far the electoral process has gone in Nigeria, what should be done to perfect it and ensure that Nigerians really get the dividends of democracy. Our guest today on the program is a member of the State House of Assembly representing Obokun State Constituency. Is Honorable Adeyemi, popularly called Irekandu. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Greetings to our viewers at home, and we thank God for a successful election that we just finished recently. So, due regards to my constituents, the citizens of Osun State, of course, and my constituents, especially the good people of Obokun State constituency. And thank you for re-electing me to represent you again in the Osun State House of Assembly for another 4 years. Thank you very much.
Okay. Congratulations on your electoral victory.
Thank you very much, sir.
And congratulations too.
Yes,
let's start on a lighter mood. Irekandu. Where did you get that from?
Okay, that name belongs to my grandfather. It means big goodness, Irekandu.
Irekandu.
Yeah,
okay.
big goodness. And my grandfather was a supervisory councillor for works in the old Oyo State. So he represented Bokun and Oriade at that time. And so he was very popular in the town. So they call him, when they hail him, Irekandu. So every of his children and grandchildren, every of his offspring also bears that nickname, Irekandu.
And how did you feel after you emerged the winner of the electoral contest? How do you express your feeling there?
Yeah, I feel an urge for better service, because people really entrusted everything they have, their authority, place it in my hands so that I will be able to serve them in return. So I feel an urge to serve the people more.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, the election has come and gone. In the 7th House of Assembly, you were in the minority.
Yes.
Just 3 PDP members in the House. Yes. Now, 25. How does it feel to be in the majority?
Yeah, well, it feels good because there will be opportunity to be able to drive home your vision. Just like you said before we started this program, the majority will always have their way, but the minority will have their say. But this time around, we will have our say and we will have our way. Have our way in bringing the dividends of democracy to the people. Have our way in serving the people and giving them what they really want, And it's a huge privilege that we'll be able to move the state forward, working in conjunction with His Excellency, the Governor of the state, Senator Adeyemi.
Thank you.
Okay. Being in the minority, is there any challenge about that? Considering your past experience?
Yeah, of course, the major challenge.
What do you look forward to as a plan for the people?
Okay, well, the major challenge will be the proverb I just said. The majority will always have their way and the minority will have their say, you see. Because there will always be stuffs and there will always be things that we always want to execute. Mm-hmm. But because we belong to the minority, it might be difficult for us to execute it. So at best, we'll just have our say. Mm-hmm. We will not have our way. So that was a major challenge, and of course, but this time around, we'll be having our way, not only our say, for the advancement of our state.
I love that, for the advancement of the state. I love that. Thank you. Okay, let's look at the just concluded governorship state assembly elections nationwide. How will you describe the voting exercise? Or what's your experience at the polls and the institutions in the country?
Okay, well, generally speaking, I think people once again place their hope in the hands of the people they elected. And So I think it's a very good one. Though the electoral process might not be perfect, but it's getting better. Well, like I always say, in Nigeria, we might not be where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. So there's a kind of a movement. Gone are the area, the days of course, there could still be some violence, tampering with ballot papers. But this time around, it has reduced. Even if you snatch a ballot paper, you cannot go and add it to the vote because there's a beavers machine that has to record your vote. So electoral violence is reducing compared to what we used to have some 12 years, 10 years, 16 years ago. So things are getting better, and now votes are counted. If votes are not counting, you will not see politicians going around the streets, campaigning to people directly. I met my constituents virtually one-on-one. You understand? Same with some other, people that also contested. Now, narrowing down to our state, a number of things happened, and of course, the political atmosphere in Osun State has changed, and it has been reflected in the National Assembly elections, the presidential elections, and also the just concluded House of Assembly election. We have the governorship election because we have a governor already. So the political atmosphere is changing, and if you permit me, if it is part of what you asked, part of what determined or shaped the outcome of this election is the new government that we have in place.
Okay.
So because, of course, the governor is now having 25 members elect of the House of Assembly. So in some couple of weeks now, about 10 weeks thereabouts, or 11 weeks thereabouts, he will be having standing 25 members of the House of Assembly that belongs to his political party. This is because the governor, in a short period of time that he has spent as the governor of the state, in about 3 months, thereabouts, barely more than 100 days, he has invested in the people, and he has been, keeping to his electoral promises. Take, for instance, the salary arrears that he has been paying. People just felt they needed to give him House of Assembly members that will work hand in hand with him. You understand? A number of things that the governor has been doing. So that was what actually changed the political atmosphere in Osun State in the election.
Okay, thank you very much. Now let's look at the pattern of voting this time around. You discover that a lot of youth, actually, participated in the election, and quite a number of them also won. Osun State here, there's a report of a 29-year-old man that won from Ila. In Kwara State, a 27-year-old person. And let's look at the atmosphere. The youth are coming out now. In the next 4 years, do you see the youth, taking over completely?
Yeah, obviously. Maybe the state constituency you wanted to mention maybe is Ifedayo or not Ila.
Okay, Ifedayo.
Yes. Obviously, youths are waking up. This is a time we're having youths in their 20s, coming to the state assemblies. I heard of someone that is about 26, not in Osun State, in some one of the non-that states. In fact, it was someone that removed one of the speakers. It's less than 30. So the youths are actually coming out. So in the nearest future, I see youths coming out. When I contested for the first time, I was about 34, 35 years of age. At that time, and that was the least we could have around that time. But this time around, we're having more people in their 20s, people in their early 30s, contesting to win this assembly election. So in the next 4 years, we'll have more of them coming up, because someone like me, will be increasing in age. So we have more of young people. The youths are the energy of our nation. I've said it severally on different fora. We need the energy of the youths. At least leave the state assemblies, and of course the National Assembly, but the state assemblies, let the youth dominate them, because they have the energy, to do whatever they want to do, to drive their vision. And someone that is not a youth will not have the advantage of a youth to drive his or her vision. So I see more youth coming up into governance.
Thank you.
Okay, let's still look at that voting pattern across the nation. It's like the Lagos State, for example. We have the incumbent governor, Sanwo-Olu, and Vivian, incredible Vivian Rhodes also. So there are these allegations that somebody is not does not belong to Lagos. Is the voting pattern not having the element of tribal sentiment or religious sentiment? What's your take on that?
Yeah, sadly, it is so in some areas, but it's not supposed to be so, because when you live in a particular place for a number of years, you become part and parcel of that place. But unfortunately, we still play the tribal cards, in politics. And what we should be looking at in politics should be capacity, the vision you also have, and the capacity to drive that vision. Because all we want as a nation, as citizens of Nigeria, is to have a better nation, is to live a good life. Let your life be secured. There should not be insecurity. Economy, you should be able to. That's all we need. And take for instance all the insecurity issues that we had, that we are hoping is winding down now. Is when they want to kidnap, the kidnappers will not ask you whether you are Igbo or Hausa or Yoruba. The kidnappers will just take you up. The kidnappers will not even ask whether you are a Christian or a Muslim, or whether you belong to the traditional worshipper. So all that matters is that we want a good government. We need governance, good governance. So the tribal cards should not be played. So I'm hoping in the coming years, the tribal cards will be played down, and we'll be able to bring up people that are with vision and they have capacity to drive that vision.
All right. Now, talking about still the pattern of voting. Now, a lot of people, especially the youth, they drove a lot of change in this election because they felt that they need to take charge. But they got disappointed somehow, especially after the presidential election when the result was not uploaded on IREF as INEC promised. And the state governorship election, violence in some parts where people were prevented from. Do you think this will not cause voter apathy in the future? Do you think the youth will still exhaust invest so much energy in still wanting to drive the change in subsequent elections with all the things that happened?
Yeah, I believe the youth, because the youth have enough energy. We've not even used up to 10% of our energy. We've not. So the youth will not give up, because if we give up, in the next couple of decades, we might not have a nation like this again. So we will not give up. Regardless of the circumstances, prevailing circumstances around, we will not give up. And I just want to, maybe I should talk to my colleagues, my youths out there, that despite the fact that we might not have what we want presently, that is not a reason for us to give up. Because the excuses our parents gave us for not having a better Nigeria, we should not give same to our children. Because whether we like it or not, we also hand over to our children in one way or the other. So I want to encourage my youth out there, and they should not give up, and we should not wait till it is 4 years. The right time to begin to prepare for the next 4 years is right now. Let's begin to prepare now. Let's begin to gather ourselves, so that we could place and position ourselves in position of governance to be able to bring good governance to our people. And of course, politics is a game of number. It's a game of number. It's a game of number, and there's nothing we can do about that. All we need to do is to begin to gather ourselves. Let's have the numbers. The moment we have the numbers, the Electoral Commission will have no choice.
Did you observe voting apathy during the just concluded elections? Because when you compare the level turnout of the electorates to what was experienced during the presidential and national assembly elections.
Yeah, of course, there's a drop. There's a drop in the number of voters.
What could have been the reason for that? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, in the first one, where there were 3 ballot papers, the president, the senator, that's for the Senate, and the House of Reps.
Right.
You understand? So, someone that would not be interested in voting for the president will be interested in voting for the senator. Someone that is not interested in voting for a senator will be interested in voting for an House of Assembly member. So all these crowds, gather together that same day to come and vote. That's one of the reasons I feel. And but this time around, it is only governor and House of Assembly member. But in our own case, in Osun State, it is only House of Assembly. Someone will just feel, I'm not interested in House of Assembly. And then just go and do the voting. And of course, be that as it may, that is not a good reason, because every voter, every citizen of Nigeria should vote. You understand? And I also agree with you, because there is voter apathy. By the time INEC, take for instance, INEC might say we have 1 million registered voters in a particular place. By the time they count the number of voters for all parties, we discover that it could be 200,000. And that was about 80% of people did not participate. So many people just went to register maybe for the sake of having an ID card. And that is not good enough. So I'm looking forward, I'm hoping that in the next 4 years, there will be enough awareness for people to come out to vote. Votes are not counting. It's counting. Don't say they will announce whoever they want. No, it's not like that. Votes are counting right now. So I want to encourage our people to begin to prepare for the next 4 years again.
Thank you very much. Yes, let's look at the do or die nature of Nigerian politics. It actually manifested during this election. Politicians holding tightly to power and refusing to let go. Now, a lot of people have come to say that the reason you're having a lot of people joining politics or having interest is because there's so much money, so much free money in politics. What is your take on that?
Yeah, sadly, it is so, because you can't be begging people to serve. You can't kill. You can't say because you want to serve and begin to kill, begin to cause violence. It's sad. You understand? That means there's another interest, there's a primordial interest that you are not revealing to people. I see all those ones going away very soon by the grace of God, but I want to encourage our people. This is service. Political leadership is a privilege, and it's always an honor, to serve the people. And if the people say they do not want you, why force yourself on them? So in other words, it is not really about the people. It is about you yourself. And this is why people kill. Just like the former president said. He said his ambition, when he lost the last, his presidential bid at that time, he said it is not worth the blood of any citizen of Nigeria. That should be our mantra. That should be our motto. That should be what every politician will be saying. It is not only politics you make money. I'm an architect. I'm having my PhD in architecture presently. You understand? It's not only politicians that have money. And if politicians have money, it's not their money, it's the money of the citizen. And just like you said, it is because we have more money in politics. Maybe that's why people want to join politics. Remove the money from politics. Let's see the people that will be left. Let's see people that really want to serve the people. Let the emolument of political office holders, let it be reduced to the barest minimum. Since you are going there to serve. So if you are going there to serve, let them just give us our basic needs. The basic thing that we need to serve. That will, maybe that will stop some people, doing a kind of do or die affair.
But do you see that actually happening?
Yeah, I see it happening. Things are improving in Nigeria. It might be slow. Like I said, we might not be where we want to be, but we're not where we used to be. Things are slow, The development in Nigeria is very slow. It's very, very slow. But there's a movement. There's a movement. It is because some of us still believe in a better Nigeria. This is why some of us are still in politics. You understand? So I see it happening very soon.
You know why I actually asked that? Because we have this culture of, begging. Let me put it that way. Once you are holding a political office, people will see you. They will have this entitlement mentality that you are supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, to them personally.
Yeah.
And apart from that, if you live in an environment and after serving for 4 years and you have not built a mansion, the community there will still look down on you and say you just wasted their mandate given to you.
Yeah.
Now, let's look at people's expectation now with what you just said, that it can happen, that the money can be reduced. But do you think the society is willing enough to embrace that change?
Yeah, I agree with you, and it is because of our value system. What we really actually place value on. Our value system as a nation has been eroded. And from top to bottom, from bottom to top. That is how it is. And it is because of that, because of two things. Number one, there's an impression that every political office holder has access to the treasury of the state. So when the people that voted you in have this understanding, or they form this opinion in their mind that you have access to the treasury, this will now bring the second thing that is causing it, which is there's poverty in the land.
Okay.
There's serious poverty in the land. And let me say politicians, in quotes, have now weaponized poverty. So someone that could not afford to eat in the morning, afternoon or night, and this has been going on for days, will have no choice than to approach a politician. Okay, let me give you an instance. Yesterday I was with my constituents, we're just to appreciate them for voting me, and I saw a young man, a young boy, he was selling handmade soap.
Okay.
That's what he was selling, and he wanted me to buy, because I sat with him, with my people, and I was curious. I started to ask him question. He's 16 years of age, and I was concerned because he's not in school. I was not asking him. He said it's the last class he was in JSS1. You understand that? Where is your parents? Where are they working? He mentioned the name of the parent and where they are working. But he said they needed to transfer him, but because he could not afford the fee to transfer him from one school to the other. Well, to cut the long story short, he will be in school tomorrow because I just told him to go back to school and I will sponsor him. So there's poverty in the land. This is why people, anybody that gives birth, will expect the politician, a political leader, to take care of a child that he has given birth to give you food, to give all manner of things for you. So it has now formed our value system. It is now becoming a tradition. It is now becoming a norm. But we have to change that because we cannot advance like that.
Okay, so examine the electoral violence that characterize the elections. In some areas we heard about how INEC officials were kidnapped, gunshots, and so on, killings. What is your take on this? Are we improving in terms of our electoral system and the way forward?
Yeah, I will still say it again, we're improving. And I'll tell you why I said we're improving. I still have a vision in my head of what happened because while I was on campus, I was a student union president of my institution. And while I was the SUG president, I can still remember because we were having an election in Ondo State that time because I went to Futa. I think that should be the election of Governor Mimiko at that time. I still have this picture in my head. Some guys, thugs, I know them. I still have because I was the SUG president, I know those people.
Okay.
Taking ballot boxes.
Snatching.
Not even, I won't use the word snatch because they were so comfortable. They were moving as if they were in charge. They were so bold. So they were moving. Okay. And they, take this ballot box, place it in their bus and drive away. Without any form of resistance. Now today, even if we still have that, they will have to use your word snatch. And they will have to maybe try to run.
Exactly.
So we still, and at that time when I was talking about it, we're having them across Nigeria. People snatching issues. So if you take the statistics, compared to what we have now, it has reduced. Though we still have them. Okay. I think I saw a report, they said about 33 Nigerians died. I'm not sure of the figure now, during this last election all over Nigeria. The figure has dropped. Though one soul is very, very important to us. But, answering your question, there's a development, But we are only hoping, like I said, that things will get better for nobody should die. Let people exercise their free will. Let people vote whoever they want. If I had lost this election, I would have just gone back to my profession and continue to practice. It's not, you can't say you want to serve the people because I see this as it's a privilege to serve. And you can't force yourself on the people. This is do or die affair. This is because you want to make money. You want to make more money. You want to just seize power for seizing power's sake, not to better the life of the people. If you really want to serve, you will not even want that position because there's a huge challenge of serving. Uneasy lies the head that wear the crown. If you really want to serve, you will not want it. But if the people say they don't want you, why don't you leave them and go your way? So in coming years, and I think INEC also has a lot of role to play, in further amending our electoral laws to reduce violence. Like 8 years ago or 4 years ago, we were not using this beavers machine. So this is an improvement. All those, my days in Futa, I talked about, there were no beavers machine. But now we have beavers machine. So it's an improvement. So there could also be a further improvement. Well, if I'm sure of this, in the US, if they're having their election, there are no lockdowns. Because there are no violence. There are no resistance of any kind. You understand? Because they know the vote will count. So in the next 4 years, I'm hoping there will be further amendment to our electoral laws to allow people to vote. For instance, you can vote at the comfort of wherever you are. Or even if you have to still go to the polling booth, the moment you vote, we don't want even a ballot papers again. You might, just like the beavers, just pick your political party and vote. It goes to the server immediately. So with that, there won't be ballot box to snatch. There won't be any kind of thing. So we'll go fully electronic. So these are ways I feel INEC and the National Assembly can still help us to reduce violence in our elections.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, there's also this belief in some quarters that one of the things that also contributes to violence during election is the issue of money. That when there's so much money to share and vote buying and all that, people will always fight over something. But this time around, the government is implementing the cashless policy. Naira has been very, very scarce. But still, we still witness some pockets of violence in some parts of the country. Now, we do not say that the Naira redesign policy of the government, aimed at one of the reasons the government actually, said it's embarking on the innovation was to stop vote buying. would you say that the aim was achieved?
Yeah, not achieved 100%, but at least fairly achieved, because it's a movement. And I also understand the federal government did that because they wanted to reduce, vote buying, which is a good one. Personally, for someone like me, that's one of the advantage I see in the cashless policy.
Okay.
Of course, the disadvantage is that they have to kind of rush it, because they gave a stipulated time that you have to submit all the old Naira notes, and the likes. Cashless policy is the way to go. It's going to reduce vote buying, it's going to reduce all manner of things, and of course, if it reduces vote buying, it's going to reduce violence, as we just discussed. So cashless policy, I think, is a good way to go, and but why it's a disadvantage, like I said, is because of the way it was given a deadline. People do not have cash, to spend, and the government also needs to, which I'm a part anyway, we also need to look into ways where we can go more electronic, because if you want to take a bus now from this station now downtown, the bus driver will not have enough time for him to be transferring to his account or for him to be using POS. So we need to go fully electronic. If you want to take a bike, the bike man will not have the luxury of time for you to be transferring. In the advanced nation, why you don't need cash is that even for you to enter a bus, you could just use a swipe card. And I think Lagos State is doing something like this, and with the support of the governor, we're also going to bring that to Osun State. That's part of the vision I'm having. I'm thinking as a legislature, to support the governor. But to say it summarily, cashless policy is the way to go.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Next, what's your take on the logistic put in place by the electoral body? Has it lived up to expectations of the people in the just concluded elections?
Yeah, they still have a long ways to cover, a lot of things to still do. Because I saw a video on social media, which I believe is not doctored, electoral officials flying bikes, carrying ballot boxes on motorcycles. So that this speaks to the logistics that you talked about, and there are some areas that buses will not arrive the electoral because of logistics of maybe the driver, or I even saw another picture that happened that the bus broke down. Of course that's normal, but electoral material sensitive as that, we should be very, very careful, because where the bus broke down, anything can happen in that area. So INEC still needs to work on their logistics. They are improving. Before we were not using core members. This idea came, over a period of time, and they started using core members, and it's working. Now they are now using the NURTWs, for easy transporting of electoral materials. Well, but there can still be a further development, to make the logistics much more
how effective are the BVAS machines, and what process did you undergo while casting your votes?
Yeah, the BVAS machine is a good one, but it's not 100% effective, and
Okay.
I will give my reason. Number one is that the BVAS machine has two aspect of it that you can use to vote. It is either it recognizes your face, that's the facial recognition, or you use your thumbprint. In the last two elections that I participated in, the BVAS machine did not use the thumbprinting aspect. But during the governorship election, it's used. During the election of Senator Adeyemi, we used the fingerprint aspect. But during this presidential, national assembly election and this House of Assembly election, the BVAS machine did not use the thumbprint. And it's a serious issue, and I will tell you why. Because the BVAS machine has to identify your face. So there are some instances that the BVAS machine did not identify the faces of some people. Number one, maybe because the card, the PVC, maybe the picture on it is not that sharp, and also automatically it will not be sharp on the BVAS machine, so the machine will not be able to read the face of the voter. That's number one. Then number two, I think the BVAS machine is having issues with identical twins. Because I had issues of that I witnessed, identical twins. During the presidential election, a particular twin was able to vote, and this twin voted at the governorship election also. But during the presidential election, he was able to vote. But by the time his twin brother was to come to vote, the BVAS machine did not recognize. So we felt that was just an isolated case at the presidential election. But during this House of Assembly election, it repeated itself again. So I didn't mean the thumbprinting aspect of the machine was effective or was working. Even if the machine cannot recognize your face, it will be able to read your fingerprint. So these are areas I feel INEC should improve on. But if you ask me, I will tell you, PBAS is also able to go.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, if you just joined us, we're still on Let's Discuss. And our guest has been Honorable Adewumi Adeyemi. He's the lawmaker representing Obokun State constituency in the State House of Assembly. And he has also been re-elected to keep representing his people. Yes, we have been looking at the just concluded governorship and State House of Assembly elections. Politics is a continuous thing. Even before the election, there will be politics, play politics about who might probably win, permutations about who will take leadership position in the House. And now that your party is in the majority, what are the steps that, because I know that lobbying would have been going on right now, the members would have been lobbying, and you might still want to consider seniority and experience. So tell us what's happening.
Okay, thank you. What you call seniority or experience, we call it ranking.
Okay.
In the legislative area, and because ranking means someone that has been in the House of Assembly before or National Assembly, as the case may be, and you're coming in maybe for the second time, or the third time, or the fourth time, as the case may be. So that is ranking, and because the law believes that you've garnered some level of experience, and it's in outstanding orders. The rules and regulations of the House of Assembly that ranking has to be duly considered in taking care of the leadership of the House of Assembly. Well, if you ask me now, I will tell you now, because PDP is a party of order. We are very orderly in everything that we do, because the party is coming into governance after about 12 years, thereabout, So many of these decisions will be made by the party.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think that the lawmakers should do to make people have a good representation?
Yeah, thank you. They should, first of all, understand that they are representing the people. Every lawmaker should know that he's in the House of Assembly or National Assembly because of the people. You were sent there for a particular purpose. You have to be the voice of the people that you are representing, and also understand that you are representing the people. And if you know that, you need to put their interest as priority. You need to make laws and policies that will protect their interest, because a legislature, first of all, is to make laws, is to make policies, and to have oversight. Our core duties is not to sink boreholes as we do, but it is because of the level of poverty in our nation. This is why we need to still attend, to the welfare of our people. We'll do that, but we should not forget our core duty, which is lawmaking and policy making. Every governor or president is controlled by the laws made by the National Assembly or the State Assembly, as the case may be. So in other words, as legislators, we should be focused on having laws that will protect the interest of the people. We should be focused on having policies that will protect the interest of the people. And we should also have a very good oversight, of whatever it is that the executives are doing, so as to protect the interest of our people. So importantly, I want to advise any lawmaker out there that they should not forget that the interest of the people is a priority.
Okay, then talking about having laws that protect the interest of people, how has the 7th Assembly fared?
Yeah, well, I will speak about maybe some of the bills that I was able to, because I believe they are bills that are people-oriented. And though, just like I said, the majority we have their way, the minority of their say. I submitted those bills, but unfortunately, they could not be passed. But I will just mention them because we're going to treat them in this 8th Assembly now, because these are people-oriented bills. An example is the disability bill.
Okay.
I have disabled people in my constituency or two. Let me give you a background to what inspired me to bring this bill. One of the former commissioners of the previous government sent me someone, because he's from my constituency, Obokun State constituency, and she sent me that person, and when I met him, he has a challenge of the eyes, he could not see.
Okay.
And this blind person could send me WhatsApp messages. He could drum, he could play the keyboard, he has some skills. And to crown it all, he has a degree from University of Lagos. I was so inspired, and all the guy wanted from me is to get him a job. Okay, I really, I put up the task, to be able to get him a job, and unfortunately I could not get him. And I sat down one day, I felt, okay, well, I understand why I could not get him a job. Even people that could see have not gotten a job, how much more the ones I could not see. So they sure, and now thought in my mind that there should be a quota left for the disabled ones, the challenged ones. Now, so if the government, for instance, are employing about 100 people, leave a quota for the challenged ones, for the disabled ones, So maybe something very smart, at least so that they will know that they are going to get something. So that was what inspired me to have that bill. In the 8th Assembly, we'll be treating that bill by the special grace of God. Another bill is the, I'm missing the title, but let me just explain. It has to do with, we have big companies. Take for instance, during the Corona time, banks, that we have in Osun State and other states were donating to the federal government, as part of the COVID, support for them. But I don't know how many of them donated to the state government. That's just an example. So the Community Social Responsibility Bill, thank you. Okay. That's the title of the bill, Community Social Responsibility. So every business that we have in an area should be able to take care of some needs, give a very small percentage of your profits, contribute it to the environment that is hosting you. So if you have a company, a big company, take for instance all these mining activities, how much have the mining activities given back to their host communities? But unfortunately, they've left it even worse than they met it. Because in my constituency, the mine, some of these land areas have been totally destroyed. Do you understand? I trust the governor because some of these things are unstable and he's going to look into it. So that's what the Community Social Responsibility Bill. Another bill is the Local Content Bill. You see, if you check this bill, these are bills that has to do with the people directly. These are laws that have to do with the people directly. So the local content seeks to take, for instance, if the government wants to do anything, maybe in the state, make sure you use the people that have the ability or the capacity to do that thing in that state. Okay. So if the governor wants to put chairs in his office, the laws will say that the governor must use furniture makers or carpenters from the state. It will help the economy of the state. So if you don't have the people with the capacity, then you can go outside of the state and maybe outside of the nation. So that's what the law is all about. And the fourth law or the fourth bill I submitted, it has to do with the COVID intervention scheme at that time, but events has overtaken that. So like I said, lawmakers have to make sure they make laws that will affect the people directly. Of course, it could be indirectly, but directly is preferable, to make life better for them.
Okay, but there's this general belief in Nigeria that what the country actually lacks is implementation of its laws. That the laws are there to govern everything and everybody, but you hardly see people or policymakers implementing the laws to suit the purpose with which it was meant for.
You know why it is like that? It is because of the political will. We lack the political will to execute some of these things, and this is why people need to be very careful the kind of people they elect into office. And I just want to congratulate again the citizens of Osun State for electing, the present governor, because he has the political will to execute some of these things that we've been talking about. And the 8th Assembly will be working with him by the special grace of God. And like I said, take for instance, you see, because you said we have laws, but we're not executing. Now, the law says, the civil service rule, and you must pay the people what it is due them. Osun State, the governor is going to be changing that now, but we are majorly civil servants.
Okay, let's look at the sportsmanship spirits, attitude among the politicians. Examine the just concluded governorship and state assembly elections now. We have had running mates congratulating the winner, the sitting governor, like it happened in Oyo State. And Fulani congratulated the opposition party, congratulated Seyi Makinde. Why in Lagos, we have a different scenario. I mean, the running mate said he would never congratulate the incumbent governor who emerged the winner. So, how do you emphasize the need for sportsmanship attitude? What effect can it have on the political system and democracy? Because some people, they instead give out insightful statements, and it might have effects on democracy and politics. What's your take on this?
Yeah, it's very important that we have spirit of sportsmanship in our election. It's going to seriously reduce the tension. And I'm going to use the example of the former president of Nigeria, that's the President Goodluck Jonathan. Even if he did not do anything for Nigeria, the fact that while the votes were still being counted, he took his phone and placed a call to the now president, it was about 8 years ago, and congratulated him and asked him they should meet and to see how they can transit the government. Now, that call reduced a lot of tension in Nigeria. People that were preparing, to cause violence, when they felt, well, the president has even placed a call. So they all forgot about it. So it is very, very, if the president has not done that at that time, we don't know where we would have been here as a nation, in Nigeria today. So it's very, very important. And just like the other states, APC candidates have done, that's the way to go. And let me also mention, in our Osun state here, someone that also did similar thing and they just concluded as of assembly election. Okay. That's Honorable Babatunde Desmond Ojo. Okay. He's from Oriade. He has congratulated Honorable Kome Ajibola for emerging. They are from the same local government, the same state constituency. If actually the interest of our interest, is to develop our state, someone is at the end of Safia, congratulate him and work with him. You understand? So I also want to commend him. So we have someone, as a good example, in Osun State also. I think we should also commend such people.
It might be the term of that president again in the future.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. Now, one of the core things that makes governance easy is fund. Now, Nigeria has been, having a lot of challenges economically, right from the federal to the state government, a lot of debt, and there is this fear that anybody that takes over the mantle of leadership with the present Nigeria, debt-ridden country and all that it's going to be a very huge challenge, getting funds to implement policies that will bring dividends of democracy to the people. Now, look at, let's take Osun State for instance. There's always this song that we've been hearing for a long time that the state is a civil service state, the internally generated revenue is very low and it only relies largely on revenue from the federal government. Now, as a lawmaker, what are the resources you think are in your constituency that have not really been harnessed and could contribute immensely to the fund?
You're talking of the natural
resources.
Okay, thank you very much.
Because apart from the fuel now, apart from petrol, crude, for instance, what are the resources you think Nigeria, that every state can actually tap into in their domain?
To generate IGR.
Okay, before I talk about the natural resources, let me first of all try to correct that. Government has money.
Okay.
Now, we might not have all the money, the government might not have all the money, to bring us to the kind of development we want at once. Just like a baby will not eat all the food, it needs to grow up once. But the baby has little, to take that will allow him or her to grow.
Gradually.
The same thing in Nigeria and in our states. We have the little money, it might not be much, that we need to grow per time. To say that we do not have money for us to grow, we're not saying the utter truth.
Okay.
Now let me give you an instance. This government is barely 100 days, like I said initially. And they said there's no money. But we've seen what the government has been doing. Where did they get the money to pay the arrears?
So are you not saying that politicians have always been playing on Nigerians? Even the federal government will say, we don't have enough fund for this, we don't have enough fund for that.
But you can answer my question. Where did the governor get the money? The governor has been paying. Now there's a road in Irekandu that has been abandoned for about 8 years. The governor just completed it and he has commissioned it.
Okay.
Where did he get the money from? The governor sank boreholes in every ward. Where did he get the money from? And he did not borrow, because before you can borrow, you need the House of Assembly. And we don't have the record of the governor sending anything to us in the House of Assembly. You understand? So now the governor might not have been able to do all once, but there's a little he has done with the little money that we have. To say we don't have money, I don't want to subscribe to that.
Okay.
Now, that's number one. Then number two, talking about the natural resources that we have. Everybody knows that in Nigeria land we have gold.
Okay.
Massive gold, and this is why we need to thank God the president has accented to some of the bills, giving the House of Assembly autonomy and some other things. But we need to look at the natural resources also. Allow the states to also have access to their natural resources, because it will in turn develop the state. Take for instance Rivers State. We also have some areas in Rivers State that are not developed, even though they are contributing to the crude oil that you are talking about. So in Nigeria land, in Obokun State constituency, we have gold. and other similar, resources, different stones, that we have. These are things that could help us in generating high GR for the state. But I can assure you the government is looking into that, and because he has a very sound committee, and they've given me the report, and they will be executing the report very, very soon.
What can be done to checkmate the pollutions that occasioned from exploitation of natural resources in the communities?
Yeah, there has to be.
There have to be. Continue to stay healthy.
I understand. Yeah, there have to be a professional cleaning. That have to be done by people that the environmental experts. Because if you pass through some of the places in my constituency, you see the damage that this mining activity has caused. It's not even good for farming again. You understand? Because you can't farm in that kind of area, and that's number one. Number two is causing erosion on our roads. So they have to be environmental experts. It's part of the report that has been given to them.
Activities of the artisanal miners also must be checked.
Yes, illegal miners. We call them illegal miners. It also has to be checked down there. Because you cannot come to an area and begin to mine without license from the government. We have some major companies that have license from the federal government, but you also have to work in conjunction with the state government. You understand? And we should also allow illegal miners to come around. Okay. So I agree with you, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Now, apart from mining now, agriculture is, in those days, it used to be the mainstay of Nigeria's economy.
Yes.
And now, people complain of, not having youth on the farm. And some of the youth have come out to say that, how do you expect me to go to the farm with cutlass and hoe in this modern age? Now, as a lawmaker, what would you do in that aspect?
Just like you said, farming is not about cutlasses and hoes again. That has gone for about more than a decade ago. So if you say you're a farmer and you still use hoe and cutlasses, you are not actually into farming. So we are talking about mechanized farming.
Okay.
Farming that is not only about feeding your family, that you have to contribute to the economy of the state. So we also look in that area, look at laws that will make this easy, especially for the youths. And grants will be given by the government very, very soon, to expand. And government has always been giving grants, but unfortunately they don't execute this very well. Let me just say this now, because there are farmers, there are political farmers.
Okay.
The real farmers might not be able to benefit from, these things that government gives, but you can trust that under the leadership of Senator Adeyemi, this will be checked so that the real farmers can be helped, because this is what will in turn contribute to the development of our economy in the state.
Okay, let me take you back to the just completed election, which we are also reviewing. What was the security situations look like across polling units nationwide?
Yeah, well, as far as Ogun State constituency is concerned, I can say we have a fair security because there was no need for violence. Where violence wanted to start, we quickly, called the security agents and they helped us curb it. But it was not so in some other state constituencies, unfortunately, and because we had of kidnapping, people kidnapped, taken away before election and returned after the election, we had of beating. In fact, there was even a case, I think, if area someone was killed, just before the election. This is sad. This is not supposed to be so. And going forward, subsequent election, we need to look at the security areas.
Okay.
And like I said initially, INEC needs to further amend the laws, to help reduce violence and insecurity.
The military also clashed with the police in
You can imagine they killed some police officers. It's sad. I can't imagine that happening in USA or some of these advanced nations. It's sad. I can same officers working for the same government facing themselves with rifle that is meant supposed to protect the citizens, but fighting yourself with it.
What do you think must be done to forestall such scenario or incident in the future?
Yeah, there has to be a role of engagement, because I understand that we have the IG that controls all the police, but they have the AIG, they have DGs, they have different authorities under them. Some of these authorities do not sometimes consult the higher authority before they make decisions, because they also have men under them. So they deploy their men. So some of these men doing these things were deployed, not necessarily from the federal government, and they can do anything that they have.
All right, thank you so much. Our time is really fast spent. Yes, the elections have come and gone. Nigerians' expectations are very high. Your parting shot, will their hope be dashed?
Okay, well, for Nigeria generally, I want to say we should not give up on Nigeria. Just like I said initially, our parents handed over this kind of a nation to us. But as young ones, as young people in our nation, we don't want to hand over this kind of a nation to our children. So I want to look at my child in the next 40 years and tell him or her what I've been able to do, to contribute towards the development of our state. So I want to encourage every Nigerian citizen out there not to give up. That's number one. Then number two is that we should not wait for every 4 years before we begin to say we want to mobilize for election. If you are really interested in making Nigeria better, if you are really interested in having something to do, to make Nigeria better, the right time to start is now. It's really now. 4 years is not really long. If you want to form a new party, you want to do anything, I'm giving this advice generally as a nation. Try to do whatever you want to do. Start it now. Because some of us strongly believe our nation, Nigeria, will be better.
We've been deliberating on the just concluded governorship and state assembly elections. We also appreciate viewers for making a date with us on the program. Special thanks goes to our guest, Honorable Adewumi. Thank you for making it,
Thank you so
featuring
much.
on the program,
Thank you so much.
despite of your busy schedule.
Thank you so much.
This is the suitable point for us to draw curtains on today's edition. Special thanks to our guest once again.
Thank you so much.
And we hope to see you next Sunday for another fresh edition of the program. I am Adewumi.
My name is Oluchi Amuda. Thank you for staying tuned. Have a nice day.